I got the walk, there's a longboard walk. I know the talk, the longboard talk.
It's episode 5 for 2021 of Australia's favourite live-to-air weekly Oz longboarding podcast, webcast thing. My name is Weeksy here in Lancelin in Western Australia, and we've had a pretty lovely week over here, pleasant weather as it is this time of year. Got a couple of little waves in, but let's chuck a lap around the coast and see what's going on before we meet tonight's special guest, Ben Considine, all the way from Victoria. Our Victorian correspondent can't join us this evening, Nace at footy training, but Kira Molnar managed to get away tonight. You've got a bit of weather going on there, mate. Your netball got cancelled, thankfully for us, but what's going on up there?
Yeah, netball. I don't know. I've not played netball, but I do play touch footy, which means that it was cancelled because we would have been outside, so that was good. But yeah, no, it's been pretty wet here and rainy, but at least we've had waves and some good swell, as well as a solid Easter crowd, which is interesting. But hopefully everyone goes home after the long weekend, maybe, and we're left with some waves a little more quiet.
Oh, you're glitching out on us. So it was Easter pretty busy.
Oh no!
Only the second half of that. We got the vibe.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, it's very busy. Sorry, so Easter brought the crowds and the swell, but
much the same in my little town, and it's really nice on a day after all the public holiday long weekend and everyone leaves, and it's like you can breathe again. Someone who's probably used to being in crowds a little bit more than most, being down there in Sydney side and surrounded by his adoring fans whenever he shows off his restored vehicles and his extensive collection of vintage surfboards. Matty Chinosky, how's your week been, Chono?
It's been good.
How's the ear, first off?
Yeah, no, the ear infection's improved. So as we said last week, it's the peril of some surfers at some stage in their life are going to have injuries, and unfortunately surfers' ear is one of those, and I'm going through that period now. I haven't had the operation, but the infection is healed. Thankfully, there hasn't been a whole heap to report on the wave front. There is good banks. Still a lot of pollution in the water. The water's still very brown from a few weeks ago from all that rain we had. But yeah, we've got our all our board riders clubs are back into full swing. We have the state titles coming up, Curly Mal Jam. So there's everything's going on back to normal almost on the longboard front. Small little problem there with COVID over Easter. Thankfully, it didn't affect any of our plans or anything over Easter. But small little longboard waves around home, and yeah, the WSL have got the CT event coming to Narrabeen, back to Narrabeen after a 20-year hiatus. So some of the pros will start rolling in town this week, and they're probably going to get really good longboard waves, funnily enough, even though they're on shortboards.
I'd love to see one of these days in marginal conditions. I was always hoping to see it on the WQS, that someone would paddle out on an 8-footer or a 9-footer and just actually surf really, really well and go, this is what you ride when the waves are crap. But I'd pay money to see that. Just down the road in real terms, but a whole other world away, the other side of Sydney, the other Maddie, he's looking away from the camera, so wait till he's back on screen. There he is. Cookie, Matthew Cook, how are you, young fella?
Yeah, very good. The weather has been absolutely gorgeous down here for the past week or so, and it was a really nice long weekend with beautiful sun, not much waves, but beautiful, clean. The water's still really warm, it's been great to get in there and have a swim, and I've just been riding my really old Mal, and still just trying to get a few little waves, but it's been good.
Unreal, mate. Good to see you happy and smiling, getting some vitamin D, as we all need to in these troubled times. Up on the Sunshine, not on the Sunshine Coast, but there has been some sunshine on the Gold Coast. Sean McEwen, you've been getting your vitamin D in, I know.
No, we haven't. I am not kidding you. We've had the most dismal weather, that I can remember for quite a while.
Ever since Nathan left, eh?
Yeah, it's been, while he was here. I mean, because while he was here, it was pretty miserable and onshore, and he left the car lights on one night too and couldn't get the car started. Just wanted everyone to know that. But yeah, no, we've had.
That's all right though, Sean, because any real man would have jumper leads in their car, right?
That's right. Yeah, but we don't need them. We don't leave the lights on. So we've had an increase in swell, even though it's been offshore. The banks are all over the place. It's just been really junk conditions. This morning, when I was down at Kirra, there was only about 3 or 4 people out. Mick Fanning ran past. I think he'd run all the way from Balinga and was running round to Snapper, where he was going to jump in and catch a wave back to Balinga because the current was that strong. But, there's nothing to be excited about on the Goldie at the moment.
Oh, excellent. It's one of these great weeks where I've had some lovely weather and you guys haven't. Yes, it's been unreal. Actually, been some pleasant days. At Easter, there was a lot of people got their fill on the local beaches around here. Our population of our town is 650 people, about thereabouts. But on the weekend, like Easter, it's about 4,500. So everything changes a little bit. In somewhere that's probably never really warm compared to someone like Kira's lifestyle, but down the bottom end of Australia in land of Victoria, I lived there for a couple of years, and I can confirm that if you are a surfer down there, you are a man or woman of steel, someone with true grit and fortitude. But we're just discussing it before we came on air. Last time I saw this young fella, I think he was in grade 4 when he came across to the Whalebone in Western Australia. Welcome to Oz Longboarding to tell us what's been happening since primary school, Ben Considine.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Stoked to be here.
Awesome to see you, mate. And so it's been a while. Obviously, people have other members of your family who've preceded you have laid down a great pathway for you to follow, or to take your own pathway within that. But tell us a little bit about how you found yourself to be a longboarding grommet.
It all started. So my old man, Lee, he's been longboarding for a number of years now, and we would just do little trips up to Byron Bay and stuff like that when I was younger. And, the Pass, which is a epic wave for longboarding, I started there essentially on our little family trips up there. And then kind of just, I think around when I was 9, I sort of took it up a little bit more and started surfing more and more. It was just a good activity to do with Dad in the beginning. And then, we've always had a really strong sort of tight-knit longboarding community in Victoria, and soul longboarders from down my way. I started joining those competitions when I was when I was younger, and kind of just came through like that. I've been doing it ever since. But loved it.
And so these days, of course, you're riding a variety of craft. Obviously, you're known for your very classic traditional sort of a longboarding style, but obviously you like your mid-lengths, and we'll show a few photos in a little while so people get a bit of an idea of your quiver, but I'm sort of drooling over them on the screen behind my laptop at the moment. But what's your favorite thing? What do you find yourself out riding most at the moment, and whereabouts exactly do you live in Victoria? What sort of conditions do you find yourself surfing in?
Yeah, so I live a place called Barwon Heads, which is kind of 20-25 minutes from Torquay, which is where Bells Beach is and stuff. And I often find myself riding just single theme logs. I've got one at the moment that I've actually just I was surfing a place called Point Impossible, lost the board, and the rocks in there can be a bit unforgiving on the high tides. So
are you allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, I know.
I surfed Point Impossible in Bankura a couple of times, and
I'm allowed to talk about it. It's unfortunately, it used to be a place that was kept secret. Now I think every man and his dog's there, and it's been.
And then Benny hit the world stage and blew it up, blowing it up on Oz Longboarding, Benny.
I don't think so, but so that one's that's if anyone's seen me surfing, it's a pink board that I have. That's been my go-to for the last year, and that's what I love at the moment. Other than that, there's I've got a beautiful old 9.6. It's called Style Master, but essentially it's a nose rider shape, and I've been having a lot of fun on that recently.
Oh, look, I suppose since I've now put you in a situation where you're talking about your quiver, I'll start showing some of these boards, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can maybe talk about it as a showing, but so this one, that one on the left was the one I was first talking about. That's a model that at the moment me and Chizza at South Coast where I'm working to put a signature model together from, and we're just at the moment shaping another one to refine it a little bit. The one in the middle there is the Style Master. That was one of the first boards I got from Chiz, and it's just one of the best boards that I've ever surfed. I've loved that since I've had it.
That tail outline just looks perfect on that. Like you'd be able to pull into some sucky little beach breaks.
Yeah, look, it's a heavy board, and so you definitely have to guide it around. But yeah, it's a beautiful board, and I love surfing it. And then that other one on the right, actually, I don't have anymore, but that's a Nova Stella. And essentially, it's got a bit more flip in the tail, but still a pretty thin outline. Really good for some fast point breaks.
Hey, Benny, I was going to say, what's the width of that pink board's tail? It looks comparatively. I don't know if it's the photo, if it's the.
It's a 9-inch pod, yeah. So it's quite wide, and that all came after 2000.
9-inch. Wow.
Yeah. So that all came after 2019, and Maddie, you'd know, with all of the boards that were kind of being created around that time, with the kind of nose riding, I don't know, progression that was going on. I wanted to try something similar, because the boards that I had been riding, which I love, had been quite a lot narrower and were a bit more of an all-round sort of log. And so this was something that I just wanted to try. And it does go really, really well. It's not as wide as, say, some of those other boards that you might have seen in those contests, but yeah, really good.
And do you ride any? I first met you, I think, at one of the national Old Mal titles up at Crescent Head. I mean, this board we're looking at now, what's that? The Aussie Slasher from Chizza?
That's right, yeah.
So that's, an Aussie Old Mal inspired shape. Do you still ride any Old Mals?
I don't actually have an Old Mal on me at the moment. The last Old Mal I surfed, I think, was an absolute beauty from, if you know Angela King. It was one of her boards, and that's one I probably want to surf a bit more. But
the Dale?
I don't know. I need to ask her. But in terms of Old Mals, we don't have any lying around at the moment. But we did have a few in the collection a little while back. We had a Pike that just had this massive hatchet fin that was beautiful to surf, and then we've also had a Rice and all of that. So yeah, definitely love hopping on the older equipment, and probably something I need to get back in the quiver.
Is this a browned out old board here, Ben, or is this that one from the first shot? This with the Coca-Cola finish? It's actually
another board. So that is an Oz. What was that one? I'm trying to remember. That was another Oz Nose Rider, and yeah, just a really good sort of all-round log, quite flat through the whole board. So just picks up its speed really, really nicely, holds in the nose well. But I don't have that one anymore. But that was on a trip to California, and that was
perfectly timed by the looks of things. I was actually just looking over my screen to read the spiel under the contents there, and saying Oceanside on a trip to California early 2020. So you ducked off just before the whole COVID thing, eh?
To say early 2020, I think it would have been 2019, but that's okay.
I'll take it all back. I was going to say, gee, you timed that well.
Mars McGuinness, October it would have been 2019.
Yeah.
Now, what's going on here? Because that just reeks of a bit of Jack Entwistle, that picture.
Does it?
It's got a touch of the Jacks about it.
No, that's just locally. A little while back, and Dad was doing some photos, and he has a pretty good eye, and he just said stand there, and so that's all I did. But he got a really nice silhouette picture. So that's that one.
You know how many hours I spent making the Oz Longboarding logo with the silhouette of the man and the woman?
Yeah,
I could have just used that. Boom, done.
Well, we got really lucky. We so as we were speaking about before, we just kind of saw that, and we've made that with the little business that my old man and I've got going on for the surf coaching. We've used that. We've just plugged that on. So yeah, we made the most of that as well.
I can't really think of a much better gig than a father and son who love surfing to have a surf coaching business, mate. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been really, really, really valuable. Like just being able to do something with both love and do that together has been, absolutely awesome.
What's going on with the hand jive there, mate? I'm, as someone who has no style,
it's just what
this stuff here, the judges dig it. Do you have to think about that, or does that just come naturally?
That comes naturally. It looks like I'm pushing away a wall or something a little bit, but
Stop it.
I'm not sure. It's I think over the past year or so, I've actually had a bit more of a think about style and try to incorporate a bit more of that into my surfing. I find with a lot of competitions around, it was more about, for me anyway, trying to make sure that I'm surfing nice and solid and consistent and doing that. But it's actually been sort of nice over the past year or so not having the focus on competitions and being able to try to incorporate a bit more flow and style, and having a think about things like hand positioning and all of that. Yeah, it's been really fun to work through. Nice over the past year or so, not having the focus on the competitions and being able to.
Good.
Not sure what's happening there.
Little audio drop out there for a second. Well, we've been joined by Nathan Riverland. What I might do here, folks, is a little bit of if his picture comes on properly, a little bit of TV magic, because I didn't hit record on my computer before the start of the show, so missed the first couple of sentences. So what I can do is pretend that we're starting the show again, and then use this bit at the start of the YouTube video, and no one will ever know except for you guys right now who are watching on Facebook. Here he is. Nate, we're on a screen share, mate, so we can see you in the background. I just thought I'd better let you know that. Oh, there he is, looking handsome. You made it. He heard you were on, Ben, and he said, look, I'm rushing home from footy train. Looks like he left the windows down. How are you, Nate? How's your week been down in Vic?
Yeah, good. It's great to have Ben on. I've been wanting to have him on for a while, so really good. Yeah, it's been a really good week. The waves and the weather was pretty nice over the weekend. We had the
you got some nudes in the background, buddy.
Yeah.
You see the Richmond post today?
Oh.
Yeah.
Am I going to have to use the blur machine on the YouTube video? It's art. Get over it.
It's art. Get over it. Yeah, the weekend was pretty good for Easter. Like the waves and weather were pretty nice. Like I think we got to like 32 on Saturday. And,
was it weird? Sorry to butt in, but was it weird being Easter in Bells and no bells?
Yeah, it was a little bit strange, and I think I don't know if you guys have spoken about it already, but I think there's a massive swell coming this weekend, and bells would usually still be on, and I just would have been frothing to see if it was on and to see how big. I think it's calling like 10 over 10 to 12 foot, so it's going to be pretty good. But yeah, waves have been fun. Yeah, no complaints.
You gonna get out there?
Pardon?
You gonna get out there?
Oh, no, Sunday.
Okay, I think you guys are going to drop that clip that Nathan, I was just saying before this started, I had a friend message me and ask Benny, can we see a clip of him at Bells? So I think you and Nathan and Benny are going to have to drop a clip now.
There you go. Victorian photographers, I will offer you a gift pack full of Huey's Choice Surf Wax if you get down to Bells Beach and film Nathan and Ben on the weekend with their big leg ropes out.
Bit of pressure.
Big legs, yeah. I don't know.
Benny, you'll be right, buddy.
So, Nate, you've been a commentator down there in Victoria for the longboards and the shortboards. You would have seen Ben surfing a few times in the past. Have you got any great stories about surfing?
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, surfed with him and known Ben for a while. I remember my first club comp, first Surf Coast longboard is probably when I was like 13, 14, and sort of went into it pretty blind-eyed, and then comes up against, guys. I don't know how old are you now, Ben?
23.
23, so you'd have been 15 or something when I was 13. So, yeah, just came into it, and like I was just like bursting this bloke 2 years older than me going, holy shit, like that's where it's really at. So, yeah, Ben's kind of been a bit of a hero of mine for a while, and kind of someone I kind of sort of try and mold my surfing around, and been watching him for a long time. So, yeah, that sort of comes to my mind. When I first saw him surf, I was just, infatuated by how good he was and the style. And, I think he's a bit of a hero for a lot of Victorians down here. Everyone really wants to follow his path and really, thinks he's awesome. So good on you, mate.
So, hey, does this worship go into the fact you both go to the same hairdresser or what?
Yeah, sorry, I haven't really scrubbed up very well. I'm looking pretty crappy.
I thought I did my hair. Oh,
pretty sweat. Hey, Sean, I was on before. I tried to join the thing, and who doesn't have jumper leads? What's wrong with you?
We don't leave the lights on when we go into people's places for dinner.
You screwed me over.
Oh.
No. I stuffed up. I felt so bad. Oh, anyway, I digress. Sorry.
So, sorry, go, Sean.
Mate, and you left too early, mate. We've had perfect surf since, sunshine, probably the best we've had for, I can't remember how long.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
know. I've seen so many good photos.
You should have come further north, Nate.
Yeah. Oh, how's it been for you? It's been pretty good.
It's been pretty good.
Oh, I had a mate's up there at the moment. He was sending me photos and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's breaking so wide at first point.
Yeah, real wide. So much sand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jealous as.
Now, in a world first for Oz Longboarding in season 2, we've allowed viewers from the Facebook page to join us on a Zoom call. This could possibly be a good experiment or a bad experiment, but we have a gentleman by name of David Farrell who looks like he's joined us. And just by looking at his email, they can't see David, they can only see the person speaking at the time. So just checking in to see if you look sus before I let you come into the call, because it scares the crap out of me.
I know Dave. He's a good bloke.
Right, I'm gonna unmute him because he's got an EDU email address. He looks like a school teacher of some description. But I'll unmute Dave and see what he's got to say. So, yeah, this could work out to be a very good thing or a very bad thing.
Look what's in the
Scotty
background.
Channon's watching, and Scotty Channon's asking when Dane Pioli's coming on the show, Sean.
Mate, when Dane answers his telephone.
There you go. So I'll just get him, Dave Farrell. There we go. He's unmuted.
Yep.
Dave Farrell.
G'day,
mate, how are
guys.
you?
G'day, Ben.
How you going?
I saw the photo. It's been very impressive, and I've turned the camera so you can see my George Rice board on the roof, there. And I actually should turn the TV off.
There you go.
So, yeah, no, this is great. And congratulations on the Sunday glide, Ben. It's really good always to see that. And how you make that surf look surfable and rip it is amazing.
Yeah, I've been groveling a fair bit, but yeah.
No, I don't think it's the editing. Just turn the TV off now.
So, Ben,
I'm sure how this was going to work.
we didn't even get onto that yet, the Sunday vibe. So we'll have to find out a bit more about that. So is Dave one of your school teachers or something, mate? Or
No, he's a good mate of my dad's, and so they've known each other and surfed together for years when they were growing up.
he's bound to have some dirt on you then. We'll just have to teach him how to share. Can you share some dodgy photos?
No
Grommet
dodgy
abuse
photos.
But,
That's all true. Lee and I and a few other guys were masters of the Parkdale beach break in Melbourne when there was a big southwester. We used to hang onto our boards, and when the big southwesterly change came, and we'd be sometimes hiding underneath the boards with hail coming on us and whatnot. But I've talked Lee and Mark and Ben and Liza to come skiing up at Mount Hotham a few times too. So yeah, known Ben all his life, and yeah, very, very interested to see how he's going. It's just amazing, Ben. So that's probably enough from me.
We'll mute you off. So tell us about your TV show thing you're doing then. Is it Sunday Glide?
Yeah, it's just the Sunday glide. It's just a little. Me and my dad do some filming anyway. He's pretty into his photography and videoing and stuff like that. So we just decided, whilst there were no competitions or really anything surfing wise for that matter going on, that we try a little kind of video project where he'd film and we'd kind of take that footage and I'd learn how to edit. Yeah, and it's just been a fun little thing to throw up. Because I have lots of kind of obviously Instagrams, like little clips and stuff like that. I just wanted to see if I could make something a little bit longer form, and get into that, put some good old Australian music behind it and do something like that. And yeah, it's just been fun. Been fun to get into and get the hang of.
Awesome.
And Benny, I had sorry, Kira.
Oh no, I was just going to say, how do we watch that? Those videos, as in
it's just I'm uploading it to YouTube at the moment, so it's just the Sunday Glide episodes or whatever on YouTube, and yeah.
Well, we might repost it on the Facebook page so you can all find it.
Yeah, Benny, I have a few questions as well to ask. But on that music front, you said good Aussie music. You're actually really handy with the guitar yourself, with a nice voice. Remember many years ago, you picked up a guitar and was with Hudson Ritchie from California. You may have been on the if your dad's listening, you might want to put headphones in. You may have been on the late night. Maybe had a fancy for a girl that you're with. I'm not sure, but you're serenading the moonlight. You're serenading her by the moonlight with the with a guitar, and it was really nice. And then then you started recording a few things and putting a few things up on your social media. So how'd you get into that? And do you still get onto the guitar?
Yeah, absolutely. So I first got into guitar, I became like really passionate about sort of fingerstyle acoustic guitar, and there were a lot of guys that I like to watch, like Andy McKee and Antoine Dufour, and just these people who could create essentially the rhythm, melody, the beat, all on the acoustic guitar. And so just like really, really talented people on the acoustic guitar. And then I started to want to branch out a little bit and try some singing and stuff like that, which is just something that I try to put alongside the guitar. I've never done anything much with singing. It's just something I kind of try and do alongside it. But I've just had a really good time. I'm really passionate about guitar and playing as much as I can, and that and surfing, and they're pretty much my two main hobbies and things that I really get into. So it's just been something I've done since I started when I was before I was probably around 10 or something like that, and I've just taken it through ever since. But I love playing.
That's a cool, interesting fact. And with your surfing, who are your main influences? I could probably presume a couple, but just for the audience out there, who are your main influences, and who are you inspired by?
So I think the biggest thing when I was growing up, I really enjoyed the controlled sort of the very I guess flowy sort of stylish and controlled surfers. The people that I really liked to watch were the CJs, and Harrison Roach was someone I really looked up to when I was a young grommet, just in the style, but also the finesse and the I guess the art of all of their turns and how they link a wave together. Joel, Tyler Warren, all of those people were really big influences on my surfing, and the people that I probably watched the most to try and emulate what they do. I think it's probably it.
And Ben, where's the favorite place you've surfed? I know we haven't been traveling much this year, but where's the favorite place you've surfed? That one?
Yeah, so that's a place called La Saladita in Mexico, and I think there's a lot to that, because obviously the whole contest for the Mexi Log Fest is just one of the best one of the best events and one of the coolest places with the best people that you could go. But essentially, there's just an epic left-hand point break that is super consistent, and just get some of the best sort of left sort of log waves that you could ever really hope for. I think it just that in combination with the amazing trips that I've had there with all of the Aussie guys, but also people around the world. That's been an amazing spot to go to. But there's so many good waves that I've been fortunate enough to travel to and get around to.
Awesome. And that's a little bit of a different format, isn't it, the Mexi Log Fest, than a normal comp?
Yeah. So they have you run 3 heats. And then I think Maddie probably knows more about this than I do, but I think they grab the top 2 waves from each heat and put those together out of those 3 heats, and whoever has the highest totals at the end, I think 16 go through the quarters.
Yeah. Awesome.
Hey, Ben, tell us a bit about your uni course, because you're a pretty smart fella. It's physio, isn't it?
I don't know if I'm too smart, but yeah.
Yeah, you are, mate. So Ben, has done a bit of physio with the Torquay Footy Club as well, and then obviously with all your placements and all that. But tell us a bit about that and how you sort of got into physio, where the interest sort of sparked from.
Yeah, well, initially I think I got into physio because it was it was stuff that I was already into in terms of well-being and strength training and all of that. And then I thought it also facilitated a really good lifestyle where I could surf and still have a pretty good life around that. And then from that, I've just developed a bit of a passion for the content in that course as well. And I'm pretty far through now. I'm in my final year of physio, and I'm really starting to think about good injury prevention sort of measures. I would love to get into the surfing space and do great injury prevention programs for surfers, and then just general sort of strength conditioning for surfing as well. And so that's where my passions at the moment lie. But yeah, it's sort of evolved throughout my studies and everything. But yeah, it's definitely in a path I'm pretty excited to go down and see where it takes me.
Sick. I remember when we did an interview a few months, probably the start of last year or something, but you were saying like, yeah, the dream job would be to probably travel the world like with the WSL and do physio. Is that still what you're wanting to do?
It'd be the dream job. I don't know how many of those there are out there, but it'd definitely be a great one. I know there's some medical professionals that travel around with it, but that or just working and specializing in surfing related injuries, injury prevention, as I spoke about. And then I'd love to, it's probably a lot easier said than done, but I'd love to have my own business of some sort one day where I can provide those services of physiotherapy, but also strength and conditioning for surfers and surfing athletes.
Yeah, epic. Nice one.
Could you not just be a really bad surf coach and give all your students bad habits that cause them to have problems that require physio work?
Yeah, I think that'd probably be a bit of malpractice there. But
one thing I've found, Ben, when you start to study something in depth is you find out things that you thought you knew were totally wrong.
Oh, 100%.
So since you've been training as a physio, what have you realised has been something you've done as far as surf preparation, which is something that you shouldn't really do? What are people doing wrong, basically, is what I'm getting at?
Probably the biggest thing that I think the misconceptions are around your static stretching and before you're surfing. So we know that dynamic stretching can have a good benefit beforehand, but if you're doing static stretches such as just holding a certain position for a long period of time, there's no evidence that will reduce your risk of injury or muscle strain or anything like that. And then I think a lot of the other things are around. There's a lot of obviously not preventable, but I think if you have adequate sort of physical preparation for a lot of for surfing, then you can reduce the risk of some certain injuries and stuff like that as well.
So can we expect to see a series of YouTube videos coming up shortly? You and Nath down the beach at Jan Juck or something,
getting ready to go out in 12-foot bells though for the clip.
Maybe on Sunday you can tie that in with Chono's project.
Yeah.
There's your next Sunday glide, mate. It's going to line up perfectly. Us charging bells in our logs.
All right.
See?
I don't know. I reckon. Yeah.
You can't back out now, Nathan.
Yeah.
Too tight. We got a club comp on Saturday. I think. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it Sunday. I'll be dead. Too scared.
Matty Cook, you're going all quiet in the background, mate. We're stoked to have you here. You got any questions for young Ben?
Yeah,
First time you guys have met one another, so
I'm in awe of this bloke. He's a great surfer, can play music. He's really smart. Have you got a girlfriend, Ben?
I do, yeah.
Is she in the background listening to that story that Matty was telling you about crooning before?
Not gonna lie, I don't remember that, but I'll take your word for it. But it must have been a long time ago. No, me and Anthony have been together for a fair while.
How long? No, it's just trying to do the maths in my head. But you're not a big drinker or partier, so we know you weren't, up to no good. So
No, I'm not.
Nah, you may have been 18 or 17 or something like that, but you're in good hands if you're with me at that time of night. So it's all good.
That's right.
Hey Ben, you were one of the test pilots for Urban Surf, the pool. What do you personally think of it? And you were the inaugural winner of the longboarding division at the pool party.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Is that
So
right?
Ben won it.
Sick.
Ben won it. So best in Vico in the pool. But yeah, I sort of wanted to get your thoughts on the technology, what you think, and where do you see that whole thing going?
Oh, look, it's crazy what they're able to do now with the amount of waves they have on offer there, and just even being able to ride a wave in a pool is pretty insane. I don't know if you told me that 3 years ago, I would have thought, yeah, you're dreaming. But in terms of the urban surf pool, I think it's great. I personally love the shortboard settings there a lot. So their barrel settings and stuff like that. I've never had more barrels in my life, and I think one of the best days was when there weren't too many people in the beast mode settings, and I got two waves within the same set, and I was able to just paddle out, get a barrel, paddle out again, get a barrel, and it was probably the fastest 2 barrels I've ever had in sequence in my life. So the amount of kind of repetition that you can get there as well for learning new things is definitely something that hasn't been provided before. And then there's really good waves for the longboarding as well. I think something that they might need to do is just make a more consistently breaking wave in terms of keeping it the same level of, just making it the same level of how critical it is all the way through, so that you can get a nice in the pocket nose ride and hold that for a bit longer. And then jam a proper turn. I think it's easier with the short board to fit in your quick little turns, but just having a bit more, I guess, consistency in the wave to prepare for those things would be something that I'd really like to see there. But they're doing an amazing job, and yeah.
So you'd be interested in representing Victoria at the Tullamarine Oz Longboarding Invitational?
Yeah, yes, I think, yeah.
Yeah, well, you and Nathan are going to hatch a plan. So you guys will organise it, and then we'll just come and surf.
We'll just come.
We're just gonna promote it into existence. We'll just keep talking about it until one day the flyer comes out and we're all there.
I worked there for a bit, so I was a surf instructor there for a little bit, and they're really really big on trying to get different sort of not just shortboarders there, but a lot of longboarding there as well, and opening up their who they're open to. So I'm sure they'd love to have something like that, but yeah.
Yeah, Nathan tells us that all the time, but we still don't see the invite.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen one day.
COVID kind of got in the way, but it did get in the way of your travel plans, Nathan. So I was going to get into the comp scene stuff, because you've been an avid follower of, the longboard comps with your dad for many years on the East Coast. But since you've started traveling, and you're on the World Longboard Tour, how's that been to travel with your longboarding? And, obviously we're meant to have a pretty big 2020, but are you gearing up to travel at the end of this year?
I just want it to start again whenever, as soon as possible. I've been, as I spoke about before, the year off, although if I had my time again, obviously I wouldn't wish that we had the year off, but it, in some respects, was actually, I think, really important for my surfing, and being able to go back to the drawing board. And like we spoke about, I'm not sure if it was on air or not, but I spoke about getting into thinking about more elements of my style, and even focusing on brand new things like new nose tricks and everything like that. So it was good to have the year off, but I want to get back into the contest as soon as possible, really. It's just an exciting, different aspect of surfing, and I'll love logging and surfing with or without the competitions, but it'd definitely be good and to catch up with everybody again. I mean, it's just one big family going to those competitions and catching up with everybody and having a great time. I mean, 2019 was the first year where I kind of spent the whole year kind of tracking along those competitions. I'm so lucky that I was able to do that before everything kind of turned up on its turned upside down. But yeah.
How did you go? I mean, so because you were at Noosa, weren't you, for the first event for last year?
Last year for 2020. Yeah, I was there, and that was essentially the only contest I think that happened. I was booked to go to the single fin mingle as I was this year. I just had to pull out of that.
And they're opening the travel bubble in 2 weeks after the event.
It's like I could have easily gone to Agnes. I could have gone to Agnes and back, but yeah. So So what I was getting at, so like you say, you only did the one, let's call it a full year, 2019, 2018 did a couple of comps, but not the whole tour. But were you finding yourself at that, just mixing in with a bunch? Because I know it's easy in a lot of sports. You see kids who start really young, and then they come to that situation where now they're competing against their idols, kind of thing. Was there any of that going on, or had you stepped away from it and back into it? So, or did you have a vibe of who was out there, or you just know that you belong?
No, definitely. I've always been somebody who, I mean, I've got those people I mentioned before are my the people I look up to, and pulling any of those guys in a heat or there's just it's definitely, I kind of have that thing of who am I to be here and everything like that, which isn't so much now, but definitely in the start I had a bit of that. And I think the contest surfing, it looks so easy, it looks like you can just go out there and surf the way you normally would, but there's so much more to it. And that's been something that I've been trying to educate myself on and go into a little bit as well over the past year or so. But yeah, it's definitely harder than you'd think to step in a heat, especially with someone who you've looked up to and try and take the win.
Well, I lost track of you there for a while. Like I say, it's been a big gap since I last saw you in a comp prior to Noosa. I mean, it was probably back whalebone when you weren't even competing just about. But in the meantime, you've gone off to the Duct Tape Invitational in Portugal, the Mexi Log Fest, the Deus 9-foot and single, Surf Relic, and the Ferro Log. So obviously you didn't get invited to all of those just because you're easy to get along with. You must have done a few comps and stuff. Or did you just meet the right people? How did you find yourself rubbing shoulders with the who's who of the hipster, the cool crew?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a great.
Was it Matty Chinosky? Did he put in a word for you?
I did actually.
Yeah.
I did. I got him ahead into a couple of the comps.
I think it was Mexico.
Yeah, in Mexico and some of the others. They'd asked for some Aussie, some Aussie sort of talent and people who had a real love for the culture. And it's I come from the East Coast. There's a couple of people my age, but underneath there's a bit of a gap. And you and Tom Payne sort of, spring to mind. So of course I put your name forward. And then his surfing did the talking at the end of the day. He just has to turn up and surf. And then it's like, oh yeah, of course he's a shoe-in then for every other year because he deserves to be there well and truly.
So Matty's definitely been pretty instrumental in me obviously getting to some of those contests. And I still remember, and can't remember what year it was, but he's always chatted to me at the contest to make sure I have an okay heat plan and heat strategy. And one year he gave me the tip at this little left at the Snowy McAllister in Manly, which is an event that ended up winning. So I'll always remember that and be super grateful for his advice and stuff that he's given me. But yeah, it's I know that I'm not sure when it all started. It probably started with Matt and a few sort of lucky calls into competitions, and it just progressed from there. But there's definitely earlier days that I remember. I've no idea how I'm ever going to get to go to any of these contests. Because there's a great longboarding community in Victoria, but there's not, I suppose, the same opportunities or I didn't feel like there was the same opportunities down here. So it's pretty surreal.
Why did you correct yourself then? Just then, you said you didn't feel like there was. Have you realised since that there are some opportunities you weren't aware of, or you're just realising now you can make your own?
You can probably make your own. I just think there's amazing longboarders down here and there's amazing surfers, and then probably just in terms of the Noosa festivals and stuff like that, there's nothing on that scale down in Victoria, so that's probably the only thing in terms of just making getting the recognition there from the rest of Australia.
Is there a possibility that
at home?
Can all the longboarders get together and take over Bells on the weekends?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Well, I was going to say, there used to be a good little contingent there, sort of in the early to mid 2000s with South Coast sort of being instrumental with drawing a lot of that together. But then you also had Dave Boyd from Imperial. Getting pretty deep here for the traditionalists. We're just it wasn't, an us and them mentality back then, especially in Vico. It was just like a community, you surfed, you preferred that style or you preferred that style, but we all surfed together. And it wasn't divided, it was all mixed, and I think Dave Boyd with Imperial was pretty instrumental, and then Chizza and with South Coast and some of the surfers that were coming down like Belinda Baggs and Dane Peterson, and then you had Geordie Brown, Sean Middleton and Andy Warhurst come out of that little nestle, and then Sasha, and then there's been a big gap in between, and then now there's Benny Considine.
There's there's a lot of crew around that Nate surfs with and I surf with that are fantastic longboarders, but they just don't do contests. And so there's still a lot of people who are absolutely ripping on the logs.
Do you surf with anyone in particular apart from your dad?
I surf with, so I'll see Nath around every now and then, and then the guys that I actually surf with, I surf with most. My closest mates from down here are actually shortboarders, so I surf with them. And so we'll head out at Winky and on the shorties and go around trying to look for some bigger waves. But yeah, mainly just my old man and then a few people from around the coast here. On
We've got that Dave Farrell bloke that's joined us on the call. Is he? Did he get out there?
Lives in Shepparton, so he comes down every now and then. But yeah, he's not down all the time around here. But we'll go for a wave if he comes down.
Still hoping Dave's going to dig up some grommet abuse photos or something from the past. I was going to say a bad haircut or whatever, but when you've got hair like mine, everything looks perfect. So I got no slimming to do. So where's on your bucket list, Ben? Where haven't you been that you want to go to since you've been so many places?
On my bucket list, that's a tricky one. There's so many places. I think what springs to mind just from old surf clips and stuff.
Oh, by the way, it has to be within 5 kilometers of your house because
yeah. No, we're all good now. We're
much better than Queensland.
Don't mention Northern Beaches. No, obviously, all jokes aside, it might be a while before we can go international again still. But where's on your list of places to get to before your travelling days are done?
Yeah, I'd obviously for reasons, just for being a surfer, I'd love to go to Hawaii and just go around through there, go around North Shore and Maui and everything. I'd love to get to Costa Rica and do Ollie's Point and Witches Rock and everything like that. There's some places on the upper end of New Zealand that I'd really like to get to as well. Some of those left-hand point breaks that look pretty amazing that I haven't had the chance to do. I've only done the South Island there, so that would be great. And I'm sure I'm missing about a million different spots, but I've been pretty lucky with where I've been able to go so far.
Good answer.
So Benny, you say you surf a shortboard a fair bit, but what do you prefer? High performance longboards, shortboards, or logs?
Yeah, whatever the conditions really lend itself to. I do my sort of deepest passion will be logging on, just on single fins, and then I don't do too much of the high performance longboarding side of things. I've done a little bit of that in the past, and for me that was when I was coming up in the juniors. I just wanted to have that sort of have that option if I needed to compete in that sort of way. But I haven't done too much of that. And then, I love shortboarding, and the shortboarding will just come into play whenever it's a little bit bigger or if the conditions are maybe a bit more sucky. I love longboarding, and that's really where I'm at the moment. But I enjoy all types of craft, whether it's mid-lengths, even step-ups for some bigger days, which me and Nath might have to go tackle.
Yeah, because you can really throw those logs around. So I just wondered whether.
No, I've definitely tried it, I think there's people that do it a lot better than me, so I might leave it to them.
All right.
Good. Hey Ben, what's the plan? We touched on it a little bit. What's sort of like the plan for the rest of the year? If so, say like, is Noosa coming up in May? Noosa's in May.
This is in May.
Is that clashing with our state round?
Clashing with the state round, yeah, they did.
Dad and Lee were having my dad and your dad were having a chat about it on the weekend. I didn't even realise.
Yeah, I think they just didn't see that on the schedule, or maybe because I think Noosa was also moved a little bit. That might have got in the way of it. But I'll be doing Noosa, obviously, and then I'll try and.
What weekend is your state round on? Is it on the start weekend or the end?
It'll be
first and 2nd of May.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And then there's one later in the 22nd or something.
22nd, 23rd, yeah.
It's like Noosa's like 14th to 24th.
That's the finals day at Noosa, probably 22nd, 23rd of May.
I'll be able to fly back then, so that's fine.
No, stay up there, mate. That's one less person that I need to worry about.
Yeah, I saw a cheeky little like smirk there when you said you're going to be away for this. It's like
He's like,
I'm just confirming, like. I mean, Benny, you're such a fierce competitor, and you always pick the eyes out of it. And I think you had some unlucky losses in some of the WSL heats. in 2019. I watched every single one of the heats. It was, riding your highs and your lows. And it was hard. It was like, 60 surfers. And, one of those events there, we had judges that were probably exhausted from watching, shortboarding all week. And then they were updated with the criteria, but just like any big long comp, as it would be the same in the QS, you travel around the world competing with 120 shortboarders, and the thing that's deciphering between you getting through and not getting through is one top turn or one foam climb. It's crazy. And I mean, those losses, how did you bounce back from that and get the motive? Because we're on the other side of the world. Obviously, you had your friends there and stuff, but how'd you bounce back and find the motivation to train and get back into it when you returned?
It's super interesting, and I think it's I won't hide that I've had a lot of losses, and I know exactly my pattern of how I move now through my moods, and I think it's definitely a difficult thing to register at first when you do travel to somewhere like Spain and you're in it and then you're out. It's a really difficult pill to swallow initially, but I know how I move now. I'll go through a phase where I don't want to talk to anybody and I'm just going to be by myself, and then I go into a really good constructive space. And so that's where a lot of the learning comes from. And I really have, there's so many little intricacies that happen in heats that can determine whether you get through or not, different decisions that you need to make. And all of those help. I think the biggest thing that I've been trying to work on is just make just the consistency. I think I can get a little bit ahead of myself and rushed in competitions. And so I've really tried to dial that back a little bit. And yeah, I've watched those heats as well and tried to have a look and see what I need to improve on. And they're all learning opportunities. And at the end of the day, I don't believe I'm going to make a whole lot of sort of like a living off longboarding or anything like that. So the experiences and everything like that are almost 75% of those competitions, and the amazing experiences that I had with you and all of the crew in Spain and everywhere else.
How good was the laughing? The laughing at the dinners, the late night dinners.
You're laughing at me.
Finished at sunset at 10:30 p.m. and you're just going crazy. You've been surfing all day and you're just like those Euro sunsets. Remember those late dinners and having
at like 10 p.m. at night overlooking that Galicia. Yeah, that was cool. I was like, why is these kids still awake? They should be in bed. The sun's just setting.
They're still wearing their Speedos, running around, just like, you're just like,
I don't remember that. Yeah.
Do you remember that one, Ben?
So I'm not a big fan of those. So
these guys basically gave you alcohol on every trip, didn't they? No recollection.
He was 22, mate. You might look young. Well, 21, so
yeah. So yeah, as I'm sure anyone who's competing knows, it's really difficult, and the losses obviously are a big part of it. So just trying to learn from those as much as possible, and I actually think it kind of translates really well to everyday life. Like there's things that'll feel like a bit of a beatdown every now and then, but if ever that happens in just normal life now, I can kind of recognize that as the same feeling and just take the same approach. So it's it's actually been really constructive.
God, you're irritating. Good surfer, good looking, intelligent, philosophical. Stop it, making us look bad, mate. I reckon just based on chatting with you tonight, mate, you're going to end up with a career as a coach or a trainer, like a personal trainer. So holistic. I can see you giving advice to a team of grommets about heat strategy, how to stretch and warm up, prepare themselves mentally and physically beforehand, then how to deal with whether they win or lose. I reckon chuck some money on the Ben train. I'll chuck a couple of shares down. Dave Farrell, before we let you go, mate, just pass on to Ben's old man that he's done a good job, eh?
Yeah, I certainly will. I think, he couldn't have spoken better tonight. And, yeah, nice to hear all you guys talk too. Wasn't quite sure of the format. So, yeah, thanks for letting an older person join in. So it's been really interesting, and yeah, good on you, Ben.
Sean always likes to have one person on who's around his age every now and then. Actually, until we had Nathan on the show, we didn't actually realise that Victorians could string a sentence together. So it's been a revelation all round. All right, I'm going to cut David off. See, I've got the power. I can cut him off now before he gets to say anything about that. But Has anyone got any final questions for Ben? It doesn't feel like it, but we've been right on the hour now. So I know you guys have got things to do. It's a lot earlier over here in Western Australia than it is for all of you. But Ben, I'd just like to know, we're going to see, well, we're not going to see you at Noosa in May by the sound of things, or we are, and you're going to throw it before the end so you can get back down and beat Nate?
No, I'm there. I'm in Noosa, and that takes priority. Without a doubt.
See you there.
Just a little secret. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say anything yet, but I did have a phone call the other day to ask if I'd like to spend the week on the microphone doing the webcast. So
there you go.
I do accept chocolates, and now's a good time of the year to buy them. Just after Easter, you get discounts and stuff. So just put it out there, mate. Just putting it out there.
Definitely be in Noosa. I'm really excited to head there. I haven't been up. That's one of my favorite places to go. Great people up there as well, so it'd be good to catch up with everyone and surf some hopefully good waves at the point.
Fingers crossed.
Unreal. Nath, good to see you getting a Vico on the show finally, mate. You got any further like secret surf spots to give away or anything? Or?
Nah, all good. I just want to thank Ben for coming on, and yeah, he's a really big role model for a lot of Victorians down here, and a lot of people really take a leaf out of his book and really like to learn things off him. So yeah, thanks heaps for coming on, mate, and we'll see you in the water, mate.
Thanks, mate.
This is getting depressingly one-sided, everyone being nice to someone, but Matty Chinosky, you've obviously played a part in getting this young man to where he is, and I think you've made a good decision as far as having a protégaic approach.
Yeah, I think I'm stoked to see Benny rise to where he has. I feel like he's much older than his age suggests, just because I've seen him around and he carries himself with so much maturity. But he has been a regular at all the East Coast comps. So I guess a credit to his parents for allowing him to, travel up and down with him. And I guess you probably had pretty lenient school advisors as well. I think you've probably never missed a year at Noosa, have you?
No, I've been there ever since I was I reckon I started going around 11. So been there every year.
Yeah. And it shows in your surfing, your backhand, your backside's definitely up there at Noosa with some of the, I've said this to you before, it's really technical, especially when it gets smaller and really zippery. A lot of the goofy footers find it hard, but you come to your own. So
I'll have to get some pointers. Just looking at those photos, Ben has a goofy footer with no style. I'm going to have to start doing these ones and have a bit of a think about it. Kira Molnar, are you going to show him some secret spots up around the sunny coast, or he already knows them all?
Yeah, I've got one secret spot.
Have you really?
It's working.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying anything.
Interesting. Shawnee Mack, you've had Ben along at a few things. Can we get him on for the Ashes, do you reckon? He sounds like he might be a good fit.
Well, we should have an announcement within the next 2 weeks as to what's happening with that. Now that the border's open, it's certainly going to be a lot more of a reality for us to run that event. Time's very short on it, so I'll be having some meetings this week.
He said nice things about New Zealand, mate. Surely that gets him across the line.
Yeah, well, hey, have you got a Kiwi passport?
I don't.
Wow, hey, there's going to be really tough competition for both the New Zealand and the Australian team makeup, but it'll be, pretty exciting. I think Kira's pretty.
Well, he sounds like he's good to travel with, mate. You can run amok all night and he won't remember it and tell anyone about it, so that's great.
Yeah, and it looks at this stage we might, when we get to NZ, which won't be till 2022 to get the right waves now. Could be Raglan. So yeah,
that's on my bucket list, Ben.
On the bucket list too, yeah, definitely.
Unreal. And Matthew Cook, you haven't met this young fella before. What did you think of him?
Yeah, I'd like to ask one question. All these places that you go to, you mentioned Europe, Mexico, Noosa. How, like for me, to go to all those places is just impossible with how much it costs.
Yeah.
How do you, for me, when I weigh up like the prize money and all the traveling and taking time off work and all that, I look at it and go, it's just out of my reach. How have you been able to do that? And for everyone watching, what is something that they could do that could get them to these places and maybe still keep a job and pay the rent?
it's there's no easy formula for that. I guess I've made a priority in my sort of earlier from when I was 18 through to now to as I said before, it's even surreal that I feel like I've gone to these contests. I was watching the duct tapes and doing all of and watching all of those for years and thinking, and all of that just kind of culminated in, if I ever got the opportunity, I'd have to take it. And so, I've been working and trying to save money. I'm not a big spender, so I save a bit of what I make, which isn't a whole lot. And then it's just been I've had to pay for the vast majority of what I've traveled for. But yeah, there's been Rip Curl have been kind in putting together some prize packs for me to do a GoFundMe 1 year so I could get to Mexico, and that was really instrumental in me going to my first international contest. And then another organization who I actually work for called Kiza have thrown in some money as well. So just wanted to make sure I got those guys in because they have been really, really supportive to me.
Have you got a wax sponsor, Ben?
I don't have a wax sponsor.
Oi.
Welcome to Team Huey's Choice, my friend. We'll have a care package on its way for you, and it works really good in the pool.
I've got some for you, Ben. I'll give you some when I next see you.
Thanks, man.
Because look, Nathan called you a role model, which is a pretty heavy label to put on someone, but listening to you speak tonight, I think it sits well on your shoulders, mate, and the sort of person that the youngsters do want to look up to. But Maddie raises a really good question. I mean, obviously with the expense and things involved.
Yeah, it's hard. Sorry.
No, you were saying before, I mean, you probably can't directly make an income from it, but so I guess there has to be that love value attached to it as well at the other end, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. And like, obviously I've not won any, or there's been a couple I've done well in, but there's been no real sort of financial, as you spoke about, Matt. There's the money doesn't really outweigh the expenses of the trip, even if you do win in a lot of the instances. So it's really, you have to kind of toss up about which ones you want to go to. And I know in 2019, there were a lot of people who chose to miss Spain and just go to New York because it's too expensive to go to all of those. But unfortunately, there's no, I guess I think I'm in a lucky place in my life where, I don't have too many sort of expenses around me. And so I can try and make the sacrifice to go to those, but it won't always be that way.
Having just recently paid a physio bill, mate, it's about to get easier for you. So what do you got? A couple of semesters left and then that's it? You're out there?
Yeah, finish at the end of this year. And that's been a other added benefit of the lockdown as well, because I had to go part-time with my uni as I was traveling. So I've actually just been able to smash through that. And yeah, hopefully finishing at the end of this year, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Mate, with your attitude, your abilities and your wisdom to sort your way through things, I think you'll be successful in whatever you choose to do. Just so you're all aware, we are in Brady Bunch mode. You are all on the screen, and that includes you, Dave Farrell. So behave yourselves, no nose picking. But on behalf of all of us, Ben, big thank you, mate, for coming on the show. Again, you speak with a wisdom and knowledge of someone well beyond your years, but you still look depressingly young and fresh-faced. I think you're going to outshine all of us, and that makes me a little bit sad for me, but very happy for you. But I look forward to seeing you in Noosa in May, and then the Tullamarine Oz Longboard Challenge after that. But if everyone's got anything else to finish with, Sean's going to tell us who's on next week. We've got Women Can't Surf.
Yeah, sort of. I've been and seen the movie. Very interesting, a little bit controversial, but next week we're going to discuss that, and we'll have Robin Harvey back as one of our guests, and I believe we've got
possibly Pauline Mensah. I've spoken to Pauline a couple of days ago.
Disease, yeah. So Pauline Mensah.
By the way, Ben Considine, Pauline Mensah was one of the very first team riders for Huey's Choice. Her and Margot. But I spoke to Pauline a couple of days ago. She's currently on holiday. She has family visiting, but she said check in with her on the weekend. She'll come on the show if she can. So that would be amazing to get the star of the movie on the show. I see all of you nodding. Maddie Cook, your face just lit up. What an amazing story Pauline Mensah is, and be great to catch up with her if she's available. But sorry, mate.
If you haven't seen the movie yet, go and check it out so that you can understand what is being talked about and be able to throw in your 2 cents worth, because it's definitely interesting. I think it'll be quite a good show.
Yeah, and if you do go, take your mobile phone and point it at the screen, because I live in a town with no cinema, so I'm not going to get a chance to get down to Perth to watch it before next week, I don't think. So you might get the beautiful bliss of me having to shut my mouth all week. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure having you all. Great to see. This is the biggest panel we've had this year. Ben, you've brought them out of the woodwork, mate, which is great to see. So Maddie, Kieran, Nathan, Sean, thank you as always. Dave Farrell, thank you for behaving yourself as part of a all new Oz Longboarding technological challenge, we'll call it, a test run.
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
And if you guys watching along on Facebook think that was a great thing, you might like to get involved next time, we'll roll it out again, since David showed us that it can be done without too much destruction. So once again, Ben, awesome, mate. Everyone wave goodbye to your mums and dads and all the rest of it.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Have a good one, and we'll see you next week for episode 6 for 2021 of Oz Longboarding.
I never talk the longboard talk.